So by now you know where we're going.
I guess so.
Kind of.
We're here. We're here.
So I feel I have to explain myself.
Yeah.
What could possibly have gotten into me? Don't I know the first thing about you? That you don't like crowds? That the thought of Disneyland is nothing more than totally absurd. How could I possibly have thought that you'd get any enjoyment out of such an excursion?
Oh, I will.
But I think you will. So just bear with me.
It's raining out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. So, I beg you to consider that this 80th birthday event is not just a celebration of who you are now, which is this person who doesn't like crowds
The
and all these
Grinch.
things, but rather a celebration of the full course that you've taken over the last 80 years. And I assert that while I only lived with you for a short part of that,
That was enough. For you.
and you, I do believe that I know you quite well. And please trust that I've chosen this event very carefully and very deliberately to celebrate primarily two things about you. First, your wanderlust and your sense of adventure. And second, your strength of spirit. So let me explain. So,
Spirit.
wanderlust. I often tell...
Wonderless.
Wanderlust. Wanderlust.
Oh,
Wanderlust.
Wanderlust.
So I often tell people that my father decided to immigrate to the United States during a time when you didn't just get on a plane. And if things didn't work out so well, in a few hours you'd be back in the familiar, you'd be back home, no problem. No, you sailed across the Atlantic, landed in a foreign country where you barely knew anyone, or maybe didn't know anyone at all,
No.
without a job, but with the faith that somehow you'd pull something off. That takes serious guts. You worked your way across Canada and eventually made it to San Francisco. I think you always had California in your sights, right? You always wanted to go to California?
No, I really wanted to go on to Australia.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm not so disappointed you stayed here. Then for several decades, you took full advantage of everything that California had to offer. You swam in the Pacific, you skied in the Sierras, you hiked them too. And some pretty serious hiking. Not, sometimes solo, alone, sometimes in harsh winter conditions. You are not an average hiker. And that takes some serious guts. You explored Death Valley and many other things. I have no doubt at all that you have experienced more of California than almost anyone who's ever set foot in this grand state.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. And I, for one, am extremely grateful that you didn't make it to Australia, that you brought your family here and to one of the best places on the face of the planet. And I really think California is that. And yes, I know I live in Dreamtown, USA, but
Yeah.
so that's wanderlust. The second part is guts. I've already said it a few times. You've got guts, and you always have, I'm sure. As you know, I recently read the book Crazy for the Storm. And a few years ago, there was another book that you bought for me called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. These two books have a common theme, strength of spirit. And Dad, you've got that.
Well, I gave you the books because I think you have.
I know why you were so passionate about me reading those books. You see yourself, and I dare say you sometimes see me in those books too.
Oh, I see you in those books. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you're far too humble to see yourself in those books. But I promise you this, you are in those books. In reading about the two Norman Olestats, when Senior was pushing Junior on the slopes at Mammoth, that was you and me. You pushed me. I remember. Keep your weight on the downhill ski. I can't.
I think
Yes,
you
you
taught
can.
me.
No, I think it's the other
Soon
way
it was
around.
the other way, yeah.
And when Aaron Ralston told of his adventures solo climbing peaks in Colorado, you were doing the same, backpacking throughout California, and ascending higher peaks than he ever did in Colorado, I might add.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
very
yeah.
true, yeah.
Mount Whitney. Uh-huh.
And I know, like Olistad Sr., nothing could make you happier than to have that passion rub off on your kids. When you gave me the copy of Ralston's book, you wrote in the front cover saying something about the spirit that I had. Well, Dad, if any of that is true, then I owe a great deal to you. It's your spirit that's rubbed off on me, and for that, I'll always be grateful.
Hey, turn around, Sassy.
No, see?
So,
Next to your
as
sister.
your birthday has drawn near, I spent a fair bit of time reflecting
Turn
on
around, you
you,
guys. I need pictures of
your
faces.
history,
One,
and yes, our relationship too.
two, turn around.
And when I considered what I could give you on your 80th birthday, I decided that I would try to remind you of some of the splendor of your life. My choice of Disneyland was not difficult because looking at it from just the right angle, I feel quite strongly that it's somewhat symbolic of your life. It's California. We're going to California Adventure, not Disneyland. And there's an attraction there called Soaring Over California that might remind you of your wanderlust and what it has brought to you and your family. Your wife, your son, your daughter, son-in-law, and grandson, and yes, even you. I call on your strength of spirit, your guts to brave the crowds this one time so we can share this experience together.
All right.
And I promise we will be out of here before anything gets completely crazy. So I know you can do this. So Dad, happy birthday.
Oh,
And I love
man,
you.
you're so wonderful. You're an artist.
Boy, you
There you go.
Yeah.
So this